like beer?
Do you like podcasts?
Do you like beer podcasts?
Then check out Crackin' One Open, a podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews.
Every week, we crack open a new craft beer from breweries around the country.
And sometimes the world.
We'll talk about how it was made, what's in it, the history of the brew, and the brewery.
Then we'll give our tasting notes, and while we're finishing up, we'll talk about some of the latest goings-on in the world of pop culture.
So check out Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hello, ghouls and ghoulettes. Please notice that coffins are conveniently located at the front and rear of this mausoleum. When leaving the crypt, we suggest that the portal at the front of the mausoleum will allow easier access to the afterlife. Thank you.
That's swallow your soul! That's swallow your soul! Fine, you want to turn it into that? You want to turn that into this kind of podcast? Let's go. What'd you love about it, Butler? Because I'm going to kill it. We're supposed to assume that you know that she's going to have bloodlust, and you're shocked and angry when she bites you when you have an open wound right in front of her?
Like, make it, dog, make it, dog. Hello, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Horror Podcast. Scared yet? You will be. Each episode, we will highlight a horror movie that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. It could be because a scarier, creepier movie was released at the same time. Perhaps audiences were accidentally transported into an alternate universe. Or maybe audiences didn't see enough of the movie through their hands over their eyes because they were scared. You see where we're going with that? We'll break down the movie as well as discuss what we like or don't like about the movie. But we'll always suggest that you bring this movie back from the dead for a revisit. If you're not too afraid of our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are available.
Nice job. Nice. Ooh, the evil F.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. So we are week 2 of our second annual Forgotten Horror series.
Oh, yeah.
So our movie this week is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. A nice short title. I guess, I'm doing the synopsis. That's right. I was just about to kick it over to you, and that's my bad. All right. So let's get my Google synopsis out that I lost because I started reading this review of the movie on NPR, which was slamming it. I don't understand why. But anyways, here we go. 10-year-old Lewis goes to live with his oddball uncle in a creaky old house that contains a mysterious TikTok noise. Not to be confused with the TikTok app that's going to be banned soon. He soon learns that Uncle Jonathan and his feisty neighbor, Mrs. Zimmerman, are powerful practitioners of the magic arts. When Lewis accidentally awakens the dead, not true, the town's sleepy facade suddenly springs to life, revealing a secret and dangerous world of witches, warlocks, and deadly curses. Well, that's not good at all. That's not, the last line doesn't even happen.
Yeah, that kind of blows.
Yeah. I apologize.
I mean, he kind of raises the dead.
Yeah, but
he raises one dead.
Not by accident. He did it.
Oh, he did it on purpose.
I mean, he was trying to impress a boy named Tarby, which I don't know what that's short for.
Young Corey Feldman, you mean?
Maybe. All right, so House with a Clock in Its Walls is a runtime of 105 minutes. It's rated PG. Production budget of $42 million. Its opening weekend, it did $26 million. Domestic, $68 million, and worldwide, $131 million. I was looking for DVD numbers, and I could not find them.
It's hard to find home box.
Yeah,
office.
which it's like, what is it, like a closely guarded secret that we're not allowed to know? Production company was Amblin Entertainment. For those who don't know who Amblin Entertainment is, that's Steven Spielberg. Reliance Entertainment, Mythology Entertainment, and then Amblin Partners, which I did not look into further. I'm assuming, obviously, they're a combination of Amblin Entertainment and something. Distributed by Universal Pictures. Now, this movie came out on September 21st, 2018. This is only a 2-year-old movie. That same day, you had Life Itself and Assassination Nation, which we didn't get at our theater.
Assassination Nation?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And then in a limited release, The Sisters Brothers. That's actually pretty good if you haven't seen it. You should check that out. The week after, September 28th, we had Smallfoot. That was the kids' movie. Night School, Kevin Hart film. That did very well. Hellfest, which was okay. And Little Women. Not the Little Women that came out the next year. Not the Greta Gerwig movie. This is the one that had Leah Thompson in it when it was in like the present day. I think we had that for a hot minute. And
I
it
was
did
gonna
nothing.
say, I don't remember
Yeah.
having that.
No, maybe we might not have, but it didn't do anything. So then the week before, which was September 14th, you had The Predator, which Mike likes.
I do like that.
A Simple Favor, which I have not seen yet, and White Boy Rick. And you also had Unbroken, Path to Redemption, which is the sequel to the first movie Unbroken, but has really nothing to do with it. It's about the same guy, but it's more of a faith-based movie, so it's not great.
I love those.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about whether it's faith-based. It's just a lot of them aren't well done. They rely on the message rather than actually making the movie. Would you agree with that?
Sure. Yes.
All right. You're going to cut all that out, aren't you?
I have probably no. I'll keep it.
All right. So directed by Eli Roth, which is surprising because I forgot that, number one.
Oh, I always remember.
I totally forgot that. Eli Roth, he directed his first movie. Well, his first movie that kind of brought him to light was Cabin Fever. Then he did Hostel, and then more recently Death Wish. But this movie, The House with the Clock on Its Walls, is the last movie he directed. He hasn't done anything for.
Oh, this came out after Death Wish?
Yes, Death
okay.
Wish was before it. Death Wish, the remake, which was with
Bruce Willis.
Which was okay. I mean, it wasn't awful.
I didn't.
You didn't like it?
I thought the whole movie was about the message, and it had no message.
True. Okay. I guess it was just about him kicking over tables and getting that shotgun at the end. Remember?
Yeah.
They had made a big deal about not the kicking over the table. They made a big deal about the coffee table, and like he went to the gun store and she showed him where you click this button and the gun comes out and you grab it. It was like this 5-minute scene just so he can have it at the end. So, anyways, Eli Roth is also he plays the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards. If you've seen that, he's the one that has the bat and comes out. He's okay in that movie. Written by Eric Kripke, which he is responsible for Butler, The Boys, the TV show,
and Supernatural.
He's also in terms of movies, he did The Boogeyman. Boogeyman 2, and maybe Boogeyman 3. This is based on a novel by John Bellairs, who passed away in 1991. But Mr. Bellairs has written countless young adult or children's fiction books in this realm. This series, in and of itself, is the first in a line of. And so after you had The House with the Clock on Its Walls, featuring the character of Louis Barnefelt. He was in The Figure in the Shadows, The Letter of the Witch in the Ring, The Ghost in the Mirror, and The Vengeance of the Witchfinder. Now, those were all books that Bellairs wrote before he passed away. And then there are books, obviously, that someone else has taken after he passed away as estate and they've published. And there's been some more books with that character. But I mean, I don't really know if those, I guess they do count, but they're not really solely written by him. So if you like this movie and you like the book, those are other books that you can kind of grab onto and follow that story along. Cinematography by Roger Stoffers. I probably said that wrong. He has worked on School of Rock, which is another Jack Black movie, The Vow, and the, suburban thriller Disturbia. That's the one with Shia LaBeouf. Right? Yeah.
It's essentially
Rear Window.
Yeah.
Composed by Nathan Barr, who's done Cabin Fever, Club Dread, The Hunt more recently, and Lost Boys: The Tribe. And the reason why I have that in there is because I watched that. Edited by two people, Andrew Eisen, who did Brightburn. He's also edited the Mandalorian TV show, and he was an assistant editor on Clear and Present Danger. And then Fred Raskin, who has done Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Bone Tomahawk, and Raskin's actually done a lot of Tarantino's movies, Kill Bill, Hateful Eight. So he's worked on a lot of Tarantino films. And produced by Bradley Fisher, Eric Kripke, and James Vanderbilt. Kripke, obviously, he's the writer, but he produces a lot of the stuff that he writes. But he also was an associate producer on The Adjustment Bureau, which is an episode we did a couple weeks ago. I was going to say a couple of years ago. And he also did the show Timeless, in addition to Supernatural and The Boys.
You like Timeless, right?
I like Timeless because it filled a void of that kind of show. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's great. Like there's cool stuff.
It's scratching an itch that you wanted. But
but at the end of the day, I'm just like, all right. Like I can't sit there, man. You got to check Timeless. I can't do that to you.
Gotcha.
Fisher produced Ready or Not, which just came out last year. the remake of Suspiria, Zodiac, and Black Swan. And then Vanderbilt is actually Fisher's producing partner. So he's just the movies I just said for Fisher, just add those to Vanderbilt's. All right. So our cast is Jack Black as Jonathan Barnevelt. Mr. Black is in The Cable Guy. King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong. He's also a member of Tenacious D. He's also in Tenacious D, the movie, or the Pick of Destiny. That's what it's
Pick of
called.
Destiny, yeah.
And he's the panda in Kung Fu Panda. Cate Blanchett is Florence Zimmerman. Miss Blanchett has won the Oscar for acting in Blue Jasmine and The Aviator. She was also nominated in the following movies: Carol, Elizabeth, Elizabeth the Golden Age, I'm Not There, and Notes on a Scandal. So she's very good. And she's also in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom Stalk. So she's doing that up.
Embrace your pride. Just say it. Just say the title.
Owen Vaccaro as Louis Barnevelt. Vaccaro is basically just in the two Daddy's Halls movies. He's in a bunch of other stuff, but those are the probably two I'm thinking people might know. Kyle MacLachlan has come back for Mike.
Oh yeah, we did a lot of Kyle.
We did. He's Isaac Izzard. He was in Blue Velvet, which was an episode we did in season 2. Yes, season 2, and The Trigger Effect, which was an episode we did this season,
and Twin Peaks,
and the TV show Twin Peaks. I'm
getting
there,
and Flintstones,
and really. Flintstones.
He's the bad guy.
I know he's the bad. I'm just surprised that that's like credit you toss out there.
I just think it's funny that he's.
Reneé Elise Goldsberry as Selena Izzard. She's from the play Hamilton. I think we did. What was the other movie we did with her? Didn't we just do something with her? Because I remember having this Hamilton conversation with you.
Was it her? I know that she is Quellcast.
Yes, she's in Altered Carbon TV, and she's also recently in the movie in Waves. But she's on. You can see her on Disney Plus. She's with the screening of Hamilton they have on there. She's one of the original cast members.
I'm looking through it.
All right, Colleen Camp as Mrs. Hanchett. Mrs. Hanchett, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the movie Clue, which we did in our season 5 audience choice season, and she's also in Dara with a Vengeance, and she looks very different than she did back then. Sunny Suljic as Tarby Corrigan. I need you to tell me what Tarby is supposed to be short for. Tarpolothiu?
I don't know. I just couldn't get over the fact that the kid looked like a really young Corey Feldman.
Well, he's the kid in mid-90s.
Is he?
Yeah, he's and he's also in Killing of a Sacred Deer. And then finally, you had Lorenzo Izzo as the mother. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and The Green Inferno. I believe she's the ex-wife of Eli Roth, which doesn't mean anything, but just throwing that out there. Go for it.
So Reneé Elise Goldsberry. She was not on any of the other films we had done. However, she was in Star Trek Enterprise, so I have to throw that Star Trek reference out right there. So boom, there you go. Also in the game Star Trek Away Team. That's all.
Is she going to be in the cartoon Lower Decks?
I don't know. I still have to watch that.
One last note is that this is the first Eli Roth movie not rated R. That's what it says.
Yeah. It's I was always very surprised that he did this film. That's why I always remember that he did this one.
I didn't even find anything on like why he did the movie. But
I was pretty sure it's because he has kids. And he wanted to do like a movie with kids. Right. Plus you're working with Spielberg.
Well, as much I don't know how hands-on he is now in terms of producing. He might be. I know that he gave input on what the clock would look like at the end. Something about that he gave input on, but I don't know how hands-on he is anymore.
It's very Spielbergian though, the whole film.
I say the same thing about this movie that I would say about Zathura, is that like 12-year-old me would have loved this movie. Like this is a movie that is almost plucked from that time, from the 80s, that kind of sensibility and put now. I don't understand. I really don't understand why it didn't catch on. This is probably one of the first movies that I can guess why it's quote unquote forgotten, as you know. I don't know why I'm putting our own title in quotes, but we'll find out. It just seems like a movie that people would dig. You think people just don't like getting scared anymore?
I think that people don't. We talked about this with Monster House.
Yeah.
I don't think people like having their kids get scared anymore. And I don't know why. I think kids should get scared every once in a while. You also had Goosebumps 2, a series that Jack Black started, although he's not in Goosebumps 2, that came out 2 weeks later.
That's true. I didn't have that. I only did the week after.
Yeah, that kind of trumps the Halloween.
Right. And the first Goosebumps is actually a very good movie.
The first Goosebumps is kind of like this, where it's got kind of like an older sensibility.
The couple of things that I like about this movie are the sets, the design of the inside of the house. even the town itself, Zimmerman's house, which is all purple, but just kind of all the touches in there from the 50s. I appreciated that. I also like the lighting. The outside lighting I thought was very idyllic in terms of just and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably nothing special, but it's just the way it's lit. It just felt like a classically lit, older film.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's something that I really appreciated. I mean, it's just there's so much in this movie that I enjoy. Jack Black is very good in this movie. He's Blanchett is very good in this movie.
Blanchett's really, really good.
I really didn't have too many. I mean, negatives. I can nitpick about stuff, but there's like a lot of lines that I enjoyed in this.
So that's it, everybody. That's our episode.
That's the show. I will say this: if you didn't know that Tarby was going to be a jerk, even though he's dressed like Rebel Without a Cause, I mean, then you got fooled there because you got to pay attention.
But my note about the aesthetic of the film is that I like that they let it take place in the 50s because it would be very easy to modernize this film. To say,
Right.
oh, let's take it and we'll make it take place today, right now. But the 50s aesthetic gives it a very unique charm that is very different from what you see nowadays. It's very much like, I know when they wanted to do Harry Potter, when Steven Spielberg first was talking about getting the rights and doing the film, they talked about placing it in America and taking place modern day and stuff like this. And, it was like the Britishness, that castle stiffness to it all is very much part of the charm of Harry Potter. And that's very much part of, I think, House of the Clock in its walls. That 50s aesthetic and look to it and feel of it, the lack of cell phones and stuff, really gives it its charm. I think that's a lot of the charm of the film.
Well, it would have been an absolute mistake to do that to Harry Potter. I mean, they would have had a full uproar if they did that.
Yeah.
The book itself took place in 1948 and 49, and they moved it to post World War II to kind of fit the storyline, which it makes sense. Him getting lost at war and finding.
I very much like that.
Yeah. That's really truly the only frightening scene is when he meets Azazel in the woods in the Black Forest.
That scene is very creepy,
That's really the only frightening scene. There's a little jump scares here and there, but there's nothing like, even like the jack-o'-lanterns are CGI, so they're really not terrifying.
The toys are pretty creepy.
But the fact that that's referenced several times by
Jack Black.
Well, Barnavale, he's like so creepy, even in death, so creepy. But what I was gonna say before was with shows that deal, or with stories that deal with magic,
when
you place them in the past, it's a different time. It's only, I know it's the 50s, but that's over 70 years ago. And when we look back on in a different time period, the idea of magic existing back then, it's for some reason more plausible, more possible. Like
the internet and all that connected stuff.
Well, like for
part of the world's more of a mystery.
It is that exactly. Like even when movies that took place, like the old ways, when they talk about the old ways, when you deal with like a lot of times that took place in New Orleans, when they talk about voodoo and stuff like that, and they talk about different times when people believed in different things, and we're in the dark ages when people just started not believing anymore. But there was anytime they put it in the back in history, it's so much more plausible because you're not there. Okay, I don't know what it was like back then. There's that little, like you say, mystery.
Yeah.
If you put it in today's time, it takes a hit. It's very hard, I guess, to believe it.
You've got to explain it a lot more.
Right.
Now you have to say why it's not out in the public and why it's not out in the open.
Right.
Back then, you don't have to worry about why other people don't know about it.
The only show or movie that I thought did a decent job of that was True Blood. And I think because it's the locale, because it was the Deep South. But then that also, during that show, they also, part of that show had the plot line where they exposed themselves. Vampire says, hey, we exist, and they became part of society, that kind of thing. But yeah, so like in person, I keep thinking of Percy Jackson, how they're like, when they went to the camp and then they talk about how, they have powers, but like nobody knows, nobody can know. I can't, but like it's stuff like that. Like Harry Potter even does a good job of it. But again, I don't know if that's because it's in England. You know what I mean?
I think Harry Potter does a good job of it because you're in this area away from society. And then when you do see Harry back home or in modern day, you see either, you see the double-decker bus that kind of disguises itself and hides,
Right.
or you got the aurors who go out and make sure this stuff doesn't get out there.
Right.
So they've kind of explained that away. Like if you even try to do magic out there, you're gonna get got.
Right.
So they do a good job, and without really like hammering it home or showing a lot of it. They just kind of explain this is why it's hidden.
Mm-hmm.
There are very extreme consequences if you even try to show your magic.
You do have to like you said, you have to explain it away. You have to talk about it when it's in present time. But a movie like this, taking it back to House of the Clock on its walls, it's in the 50s, so there's that little bit more.
Yeah, he keeps it in his home. All the
Yeah.
magic's at his house, so the rest of the world doesn't know about it.
Right.
They're not taking cell phone pictures and uploading it to YouTube or whatever.
Right. So you have that huge fence and everything's behind the topiary, lions back there. You can't see it. Yeah.
They just know he's weird. And he plays the sax at 3 a.m.
Exactly. But even her house, even Hatchett's house across the street looks awesome too. Like her house, Zimmerman's outside of Zimmerman's house. I love that house on the corner there.
Mhm.
It's the corner house.
Do they show the outside of her house?
They show it briefly when Owen's walking to school and he turns around to wave to him. And it's the first time there, and they're both kind of waving weird. He's actually walking past her purple house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
notice that. Okay.
They never show it again, but
That's
you
what
got
they
the idea that that's her house. So what kind of I talked about the lighting and stuff like that. We talked about the aesthetic. What's something else that jumped out at you?
I love, like you said, the house is just gorgeous. It's awesome. The amount of detail and stuff in it is fantastic. I love the window on the staircase, and I love every shot that's got that, because not only does the window change and you get all these different symbols and stuff in there, but even when you're not focusing on the window, there's this pop of color at the top of even this drab kind of almost Addams Family type house that in those shots it kind of shines through. And it's a very, even though it's this creepy kind of Addams Family-esque Munsters feel to it, it's still got a lot of color.
Yeah.
But it's muted, but it's there. And they don't necessarily have to draw out the picture from the cinematographer doesn't have to go in there, the editor doesn't have to go in and go, all right, now let's make it gray and drab.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the set. It's built into the movie, and I really appreciate that.
Deep
use of
mahogany colors.
Yeah.
I mean, she pops too. Like Zimmerman's all purple all the time, so her color pops all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan's fez
Yes. Yeah.
always pops into the outfits he wears. So
But here's something with the house. It turns awfully quick. It only goes.
I
You
wrote
know
that
what I
too.
mean?
Yeah, the house likes you. The house doesn't like you anymore.
When Lewis brings Izzard back from the dead, the house knows that it's back, and the house, some parts of the house awaken in terms like the downstairs basement one with all the dolls, all the creatures. Was when Barneveld goes down there and they're like, he's coming back, he's back, like he moving and stuff like that. But the house, like when he walks past that window, and the window shows him 3 graves.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get that, because the house doesn't want Lewis to go. The house is friendly with Lewis and stuff, but now the house is showing them dead.
So when the original owner is still around, they go to the original, whoever the owner of the house is, that's who they're loyal to. Is that what that means?
It's very confusing, because Chair is still a friend. They killed Chair because I guess Chair didn't turn.
Well, but the window tells.
But maybe the window's warning. He's not actually.
Well, he tells Lewis don't go, but I think that it's obviously that the whole idea was that they knew Lewis would raise him.
Oh, so you think the window's working against them?
I don't know. I mean, you gotta ask. Do you trust the house now?
Yeah, but at the end, at the window's showing all 3 of them all happy.
Otherwise, they'll break it down.
Now the window's like, oh no, guys, I'm cool.
I was always hip to this.
I was always on your side.
I knew he needed to come back from there because I knew that's how we could stop him.
But Chair is always on their side. That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
I mean, the creepy dolls are not necessarily part of the house because they're items that they bought after. Well, same with maybe Chair then.
Well, I assume that the dolls and all that stuff that are part of his act were part of Izzard's act, and he just put them in the basement.
Yeah.
He, because this was supposed to be, he died.
He had died a year before this movie.
Right. So he had just passed away in the movie. So, yeah. So he's even then, it's like, how is that Barneveld's house?
Well, it looked like Barneveld lived there when they were first doing their shows.
But it's still Izzard's
They
house.
lived together.
Yeah.
Then when Izzard got married, it seemed like Jonathan got kicked out.
Yes. Where'd he go?
I've lived on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like the fact they didn't make Zimmerman and Barneveld a couple. Like they're friends. They're at the end, they're a bevy of swans, of black swans, but they're not like romantic interests. I didn't get it, which I appreciate. And I didn't catch this in terms of Zimmerman's. The couple things I liked about were there's 2 particular scenes I enjoyed was the scene when Zimmerman explains to Lewis how she's broken on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't catch this when I first watched it. And I didn't even catch it when I watched it again. I caught it in the notes, was that if you look on the picture behind her or the picture in the scene, you see that, I don't know if she has it or her husband has it, the numbers on her arm, like they were in a concentration camp.
Oh,
Like
I
that-
didn't
yes,
see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what you're supposed to assume, or that they were in a concentration camp. They passed away there, the daughter and the son and the father, and she was injured. But how she was broken on the inside, how her magic doesn't quite work.
I just figured she got caught in like a bombing or something because she was in Paris.
I just thought it was like, I thought maybe it was a car accident or
But
something
wow,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, no, so when I read that, I was just like, ooh, and I liked that. I like that background. I like the fact that they don't make it so overt. I like
Right.
that it's just kind of, she knows it and the filmmakers know and the writers know, but we don't need to know. We just need to know it's something that was really bad.
And that influences later on one of my favorite scenes, which is when she's talking to Jonathan about how Jonathan's giving up on the kid.
That was
and
my
that she
second.
would- that was your second.
Yeah, absolutely.
When that, I was like, damn, that's acting.
Yeah, because she has 2 lines in there and she's just like, children make mistakes, they get in trouble. That's why they're children. And then when he complains, he says like, I'm scared. And she's just like, being scared for them 24/7. That's the whole damn job description. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like that is. And it's just like, and she's got, got another word for you, coward. Like
Yep.
that's all. No, she's really, they're both really good in this movie, but she is really like, she's got some good lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Jack Black's got some funny lines and he's, I like his line, why not just eat cookies for dinner? They're far more delicious. Like that when he first meets Lewis and he offers him cookies. And he's like, I haven't had dinner yet. But she's got a lot of good lines. I guess
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Written for her. I also like her when she at the end, when she says, but now I'm indomitable.
Yeah.
That stuff, that's good too, that turn. But did you know, obviously she doesn't join them in the final fight.
No.
Okay.
She's fighting William Snakespeare.
Yeah, that's because scheduling issue, she couldn't do it. They had to write her out.
really?
Yeah, they had to write her out of it. So that's kind of unfortunate.
I kind of liked it better without,
With just them two?
because it's them two, but then Jonathan also very quickly gets out of the picture as well for the most part.
True.
And then it's just got to be Lewis facing his fears and
Right.
letting go of his parents and stuff like that. I really like the final scene with just Lewis there. Although I really don't like creepy baby Uncle Jonathan.
That is kind of, it's,
He might be the creepiest thing in the movie.
you can't take your eyes away from it. Can you imagine being like, okay, Jack, we need to do this for the movie now. So you ready?
He's
Here we
probably
go.
all for it. Yeah, right.
Do you want me to be naked?
Too late. Already there.
We basically talked about most of the movie. We haven't talked about the kids. We talked about Tarby a little. I was going to say Darby. We talked about Tarby a little, and I can't remember the girl's name that his friend, the platonic friend that was into insects.
Yep.
I can't remember her name.
Rose.
Rose. Okay. She was all dressed in pink all the time,
Yep.
which I thought was great. So my first thing is that when he first goes to school and they pick him, they're going to they don't want to pick him. They pick the kid with the
polio, probably.
kid with the crutches. And he's like, great hustle, man. Good hustle. Thanks, coach. And then they start playing basketball. That's not basketball. There's like 14 people on each side, and they're just throwing the ball around. There's double dribble constantly. That's not basketball. That's an atrocity.
It's just gym time.
I'm just saying, Lewis was right not to play.
Lewis played. Lewis sucked. When the kid in the crutches takes the shot, just lobs it.
Or the fact that Tarby's buddy Woody is just for some reason beating on a bunch of Davy Crockett fans. Like there's like 3 kids with the Davy Crockett hats, and he's just like, what? And what do you don't like Davy Crockett?
That's right. Ridiculous. Darby's such a dick.
Well, he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy.
He does it till he wins it's nice till he wins the election. And then he goes back to being Darby.
You gotta run every year. Whatever.
You got to rerun every year.
Yeah.
My note about the kids was that I didn't think Rose had enough screen time. I guess maybe she's part of the books and she comes into play later.
I think this movie, the hope was probably to have a second film.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of, I don't honestly in this day and age of world building, I don't know why you didn't just do a second movie and just didn't I don't know, maybe there wasn't any need for it or call for it. Maybe it didn't do well on home box office.
Well, it made
It didn't. It
Didn't make its money back.
no. The first episode of the season,
No,
which
it made
was
it money back. Made it money back. It's money back.
well, hold on. The first episode we did this season was Terminator: Dark Fate, and we talked about how that a movie that has like a $200 million budget, it's got about an $80 to $100 million budget for marketing. That's something we found out. So a movie that's 42
Terminator might be a little different than that.
okay, but a movie like this, it's $42 million budget in terms of the production budget. Well, how much do you think goes into marketing? 20,
20,
30?
25?
Okay, let's split it 20, 20, 25. Let's say 25. That brings you to 67. Its domestic take is just barely that. So it made money in worldwide, but you got, I mean, I would be curious if, I mean, I would assume that this puts the movie in the black, but maybe just a little bit. I'm really curious about its home rental. Yeah, I'd really want to know how much it would make there. Like, what was the movie that we just talked about that did like 40 million on home video? Oh, Vampires. Last week.
Yeah, it was all home box office.
Yeah, that did that shocked me. $42 million home box office. Like, this is a kids movie. It's had to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, Vampires back then though, that was back when you went to the video store. That was back when it was like, all right, let's go.
True point. Yeah, I guess this movie was also. So this book was written in early 70s, I think 1973 or 72. And in 1979, it was on the episode, I think on the first episode for a show called Once Upon a Midnight Scary, which is a CBS show that Vincent Price hosted. So it's like one of three stories that Price kind of, there's actors in there. They're doing the story, but Price is narrating a little bit. I watched some of it. It is not good. It's like
I kind of want to watch
it. It's like if we shot it in my basement and that's the only part we used, but we kept saying it was like a big house. Like it was like a lot of that. It was not, and there was some kind of witch in there at the end, and she was like, "Look at me, turn around." I was just like, I gotta get out of this. So I guess this story was done before. Did you notice on the cinema marquee, Spaceman from Pluto?
No.
When he first shows up. Do you know what that's a reference to?
No.
Okay, so that's two things. One, it's the title of the book that Marty McFly uses when he puts on the spacesuit to trick George McFly. But the reason why that's in that movie, and probably why the reason it's on the marquee here, is that Sid Sheinberg was the producer of Universal Pictures at the time, and he thought Back to the Future should have been called Spaceman from Pluto. Like he was like, we wanted it to call him that. That's what he wanted the name of the movie to be. And Spielberg sent him a letter. And the way they got around it was Spielberg sent him this memo or this letter or note. And it was just like, oh man, that joke is hilarious. Thanks for joking. Like he just kind of wrote it off like he was just joking. But it's like, could you imagine if they called that Spaceman
from Pluto 2. Back to Pluto. Spaceman from Pluto 2. 3. Wild Pluto.
That's not good. But actually, you know, maybe I bet you the book title was first before that, and then that's why Sheinberg probably wanted to use that name. Maybe that's more accurate. He probably saw the book was probably part of the script. He's like, oh, I love that. Whatever.
Oh yeah,
that's a stupid title. Don't dare do that. Is there anything you didn't like? Because we've been sitting here probably telling what we love about it.
Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Rose.
She's not in it a lot.
Because she's not in it a lot. And I feel like they're kind of building her up to end up being nothing.
Right.
Except for, I guess, his only friend he guys in school at the end. Give him some hope.
Mm-hmm.
I also wasn't a fan of the lion pooping.
The all of it, or just like it was too much?
Every time he poops, I was just like, all right, poopy joke.
Well, it's a kid's movie.
I know. I'm sure I would have laughed back then, but I'm thinking now, I'm like, I don't know if that's necessary.
Did you watch the whole credits all the way to the end?
Not all the way to the end.
So
no.
So when you watch the credits have like the characters animated on the right and left side, and then at the end of the thing, the final credit comes up, and all the characters are all together holding hands, and they're all like bowing. But like one of the characters is Azazel, and he's holding baby Jonathan, and he's just like, and it's all creepy. They're all just like, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
That was scary for me. When he licks his hand.
When he licks the blood off his hand. I thought that was all awesome. I really liked how they handled Izzard. I liked the way that he was a good person and the war turned him bad. And even when you see the flashback where he's lost in the woods after his platoon got shot, he's a medic. So he's not even fighting the war. He's non-violent.
Right.
And that all causes him to become this villain.
He was looking for a way to end it all, to end the war.
And the war.
And everything. And then Azazel gives him the idea.
And everything.
Yeah.
There's no humans. There's no war.
Which, it's flawed logic, because then you're all by yourself for what? Nothing.
Him and his evil wife forever.
Yeah.
Which I also didn't get. If he's only doing evil because he feels like it's doing good, his wife is clearly just evil.
Yeah.
His wife is essentially Bellatrix from Harry Potter.
Yeah, and she can, morph into different people, but it doesn't look like it's pleasant.
No, I actually didn't like that effect. That was one of the only effects of the movie where I was like, that's kind of weak.
When she shakes.
When she shakes and her head like kind of goes.
Yeah, it looks like it hurts.
Yeah. And also, he's going to be all zombie-like for the rest of his life when he's brought back from the dead. They can't, like, make him normal looking again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like he's stuck zombie. I'd be like, oh, no, thanks.
Well, when he first walks into the house, he's a little white and he looks older. But then after he kisses Mrs. Hanchett and then she becomes Celine and then he comes in again, he looks like his makeup changed a little.
He looks a little more colorful. His eyes are redder.
Yeah.
He's no longer breathing in smoke or dust.
True. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Well, then why do you think we talked about it a little bit, but why do you think it's probably forgotten then? Why do you think people don't? I mean, nobody talks about this movie with me. Like nobody will talk about this movie.
No one wants to talk
but like,
about
if I bring it up, people will be like, "What's that?" Or
I think it's a kids movie, but it's got a lot of stuff that adults can really appreciate. I don't think anybody going into it realized the movie it was.
Right.
That it was this like late 80s, early 90s Spielbergian kids movie.
Right.
That it has these moments of actual kind of creepiness. And I think parents don't want to bring their kids to that. If it's a Halloween movie, it better be kooky. And
so you think
this is kooky, but it's got to be more like Goosebumps, where it's like they're fighting gummy bears. It's just like that's. But
Goosebumps has got scare in there too.
It's got some scares.
Well, how about this? You're saying maybe the trailers and the promotions for it should have pumped up the action adventure angle more and kind of dialed back and don't show the horror and just trick them getting in there and then be like, oh, by the way, you're gonna get scared.
I think the trailers showed more the goofy humor.
Yeah.
And I don't think even if maybe don't show the horror stuff, but show the action adventure stuff, show that it's going to be this Goonies type, adventure. Like kids are involved. It's a kid's adventure, but they're dealing with a more adult kind of situation.
Right.
In a way.
I think the title hurts it. I like the title. I know you need because it's based at the book. I don't mind it, but I think the title probably hurts it a little. It's because it's so long and it's so mouthful.
House with a clock in it.
But what are you gonna call it? Clock house.
Clock in the walls. Wall clock. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just call it Lewis's grand. Lewis's day out.
Louis Barneveld and the house and the clock on the wall. Yeah. So again, it's probably not there's probably not a better title out there. Maybe there is. I think that it came out in September doesn't help it. Like, so kids are back at school.
Yeah.
You're 3 weeks in. You're not thinking about, you know what I mean?
Yeah. September's tough for movies because everyone's back in school. So parents are getting used to that schedule again.
So I know this movie's not a Halloween movie. So
it's a Halloween movie.
Well,
it's a scary movie. It doesn't take place on Halloween.
That's what I'm saying. So this could be a summer film.
Yeah, but I think the jack-o'-lanterns and that was in all the advertisements with the jack-o'-lanterns in front of the house.
Yeah, sure. So then let's say this. You put it out in beginning of June, end of May when school's getting out, and then you have enough time to put it out on 4K Blu-ray or whatever on Halloween.
Yeah,
So then you just use that. But instead now you have it come out in September. And I believe the Blu-ray came out in January or winter, probably.
So I missed Christmas.
Yeah, so you completely... So that tells me that Universal really didn't know where to put it, or maybe they just didn't... Maybe they weren't big on it. I don't know. I think I don't think the release date helps it. I don't think the title helps it. And I think you're right. I think people shy away from something that's a little scary. The difference with this movie and Monster House, which is what we talked about, is that when I watch Monster House now, granted it's older than this movie, the animation's a little bit more dated.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so this the benefit of this movie being a live action film having 2 quality leads in there, actually 3 quality. Cate MacLachlan, good 4 quality. They're all good. There's nobody that's not good in this movie, with the exception of you don't like Tarby. The kids are, but the adults are great.
Right.
You know,
Lewis is pretty good.
yeah. So and Eli Roth does a really good job. I'm not the biggest Eli Roth fan. I mean, I saw Hostel. It wasn't like I just
Cabin Fever is good.
Yeah, but I remember watching. I don't know, for some reason I didn't dig Cabin Fever, and I don't remember why.
I thought you told me you did like Cabin
I like
Fever.
some of it. There was something about it that bugged me, and
The shaving scene, because that's gross.
I can't remember. I don't remember too much about it. I know I'm not a big torture porn guy, which is what Hostel is.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I don't need to sit here it's nothing that bothers me. It's just uninteresting. And when I say torture porn, if you don't know what that means, that's kind of like a movie that just shows you graphic. It's just showing you.
It's like the
disturbing
Saw films after 2.
Yeah,
It's just how do we kill people?
Yeah, and it's just that stuff that's the only reason. Some people like horror movies for that reason, just to see the effects and what they do in different ways
That's
to
the
kill
thing,
people. That's fine.
That's cool when you watch the first scene in Hostel and you're like, all right, that's some cool prosthetic effects. At least when I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, is that the whole movie then?
Yeah, where there's no real story. It's just how can we kill different people different ways.
Yeah.
And I don't poo-poo people liking that stuff, but that's when I'm more of a story guy, so it doesn't really. It doesn't translate well for me.
Gore has never been my big.
Yeah.
Like I love horror films, but gore has never been what I like about horror films.
We're gonna do a movie in 2 weeks, the Evil Dead movie, where I thought is way too much blood. Just for this, I feel like there was.
We'll
get to it.
But I think that's what that's what Evil Dead is.
That's fine.
That's not. I don't think that's gore though. I mean, that's played more for laughs.
I guess. All right, that's a different movie. So just back to the original point. The title, the release date, probably that it's a little scary. I think those combination of that. I don't think this is a bad movie. I just was reading a review, and it was from NPR at the time, and I can't remember where is it because I was just had it here. So I was just reading the review, and the House of the Clock on its Walls is an eyesore, and this is from Scott Tobias from NPR. And I didn't read the whole article, but I'm going down and I'm looking at the bottom, and it's like, what's lost in this adaptation are more insinuating horror or the notion of magic as a craft that takes constant discipline or refinement to control. In a word, atmosphere. So it's the short-term excitement of jump scares and readily accessible spells are a poor trade-off for the steadily deepening mysteries and fears that made Bellar's book such an enduring classic. Okay, so first off, it's not a book. It's an adaptation of the book.
Right. So this guy likes the book, and now
and that's fine. So that's fine. But it's also still a PG kids movie, so you have to kind of understand that some of that stuff's going to be there. I get it. The topiary, the fart joke topiary. It's too much. It's maybe like they do it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I maybe 1 or 2 less. It'd be fine for some people. But I get that it's a kids movie, so you have to kind of just allow for it. But you can't tell me this movie's not bad. This movie's not quote unquote an eyesore.
Well, it's only got a 57 Metascore, 6.0 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, actually it's fresh, but only at 65%. So it just made fresh. And audience score only gave it a 44%, which I don't
What
understand.
What am I missing?
I think audiences talked about this in the other episode, and I got crap for it.
What, by me?
But, no, not for you. But everybody wants a Marvel movie. Everybody wants these kind of modern slick films that are all style, no substance. And again, I got crap for it, but I watch the Marvel movies. I enjoy them, but that can't be the only thing you watch. And that's what a lot of people want in their films is this just, let's just do glossy stuff and that's it. Goosebumps is probably like everybody wants to see Goosebumps too, because it's got the gummy bear guy and the dummy. And it's
dummy.
Like that's what they're going for. They're not going for the story or the adventure anymore. Mm-hmm. They're going for the shtick.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talk about the complaints where we want originals. We want original movies. We want original stuff. We don't want superheroes. We don't want Marvels. Well, here's a movie right here.
Yeah,
2 years old.
Clearly, we're wrong, Mike.
I guess we don't. We're not getting it. We're not understanding it.
You just don't get it, man.
This movie spoke to me. This movie didn't speak to me. Okay, man. I don't understand what you want anymore.
Ant-Man 2 is high cinema.
Ant-Man and Wasp. It is not. No. This is a good film. This is a good movie. It's got great acting in it, and it's fun. It's adventure and exciting. And if you were and this movie came out 20, 30 years ago, people my age would be telling me how, oh my God, I grew up with that movie. This movie's good. You know what's funny is maybe in 10 years and in 15 years, when all the kids that watch this movie now, when they watch it, when they are making their podcasts and when they're telling people about movies they watched when they grew up, I wonder how this will change. You know,
If this will be like a forgotten gem that people will talk about again.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Like, I watch a lot of movies. And you know, there are a lot of movies that I enjoy. A lot of movies I don't like. I don't run to Rotten Tomatoes to put my review up to let everyone know. So, you know,
that's the thing. The people who do that are mostly trolls. But.
Right. While that's great and all, that's not a true reflection of what people feel about movies.
I get you.
And you know what? The whole purpose of this podcast and is that you can't like stuff that people don't like, and vice versa. Yeah. I disagree with those ratings.
Sure. But I do too. I think this is a very good film.
All right. So, do you want to wrap it up? You got
sure. Well, first, House with a Clock in Its Walls is available on Showtime On Demand if you want to watch it, if you have Showtime. You can also see it on Hulu and Amazon as well.
Look at you. What did you guys get a paycheck or something from Showtime?
We were talking about how we wanted to say where people could get it if we got it.
Well, there you go.
Without renting it.
There you go. We saw it on Showtime.
There you go.
Because we have Showtime. Do you have Showtime? If you don't, sorry.
Showtime.
It's out. It's got a 4K Blu-ray out there.
Yeah, I mean the movie looks good. It's filmed well.
Oh, we didn't even talk about William Snakespeare.
The purple snake octopus.
Yes.
The snake-topus.
That's right. I don't know. I was a fan of that.
You know, I've never had Ovaltine.
It's not great. It's not great. I mean, is it even still out?
I don't know. I was wondering when I was watching. I was like, can I even still try Ovaltine?
Well, that decoder ring it was never inside the Ovaltine. You had to get enough credits, or you had to get enough Ovaltine packages to send away to get it sent to you. So you couldn't just dump out Ovaltine. Well, that seems funny when it's like, oh, he's like 3 Ovaltines, and we'll take the gumballs. You can't even prove that he did that.
Exactly. The gumballs just fell on their own. I like the fat kid who sees the ice cream get like he's almost done, then the sundae gets huge, and then it's small again. And the kid next to him on the counter is like listening. He's just like, oh, that's great. The end of the world, huh? All right. Okay. So that's it. I don't know. I got nothing else. Yep. That's what I got.
So join us next week, which we're going to be doing a movie that I'd never seen, never heard of.
Yeah.
We're doing Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
These don't end up well for me, though.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and 2010 movie starring Guy Pearce and Katie Holmes, produced by Guillermo del Toro, not directed. We thought it was directed a little bit. And who else is in that? Anyone? I just don't remember it. I mean, it's been like 10 years ago.
All I remember is Katie Holmes. I mean, it's really just Katie Holmes' movie.
Oh, really?
Maybe the little girl a little bit too. But
yeah. Well, that's next week. So as Forgotten Horror rolls along, yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
does it roll or does it shamble?
Oh, shamble?
Zombie shamble, right?
Do they really?
Yeah, I don't know.
They shamble? I never heard that before. Okay.
I don't know.
If you like what you're hearing, if you disagree with us or agree with us, hey, hit us up. We are at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can also send us an email at ForgottenCinemaPod@gmail.com. We're also a member of Forgotten Entertainment. We're all over the place.
Part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
We try to post every day. We try to post every weekday. And we've got I'm sure after you've listened to this tomorrow, which will be Thursday, you'll see our video, which we have no idea what we're going to do yet because that's 10 weeks away. I've got nothing else to add. Mike, do you?
I messed up my bruise. No, I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Mike's referring to, we're going to be shooting a commercial for a movie that you have already listened to. And he's supposed to have a bruise on there. He's got a fake bruise makeup there. And
fake bruise. I punched myself in the eye 20 times.
Well, he just rubbed it and he just made it worse. So we apologize in advance. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten.
Keep it spooky.